Hey everyone, it's 10 Types, and today I'm going to be looking at some more new cards from the set Triple B, I believe, which is going to be in our, I don't know, I think it's in our next set, the June set, which I think it might be called Paldea Evolved. I don't remember about that, though. Oh, yes, it says Paldea Evolved, June 9th set, which will be, I believe, our second set of this year, so that's pretty cool. And there's some interesting cards. Notably, there's a new Night March Mad Party style deck called Wings of Union. At first, it was translated differently, but there's a Watchful, which is a lightning type. And then there's a Murkrow here. Oh, for one dark, I believe Watchful's for two colorless, so we'll get into that. And there's a Flamingo as well. And hopefully, there's another one. And then I think if there's a fourth one, it should be viable. Especially because they're a bit more interesting now. I really like the look of them. They're much more interesting than the Mad Party or Night March ones. So yeah, I hope this goes well. I hope the cards are interesting. They're kind of weird. They're kind of cool looking though. I starting with the Hoppip, Jumpluff, Skiploom line. I don't know why I said it in that order, but Hoppip with an ability to be immune to damage if you flip heads on this attack here. Pretty generic, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Um, and keep in mind that it also does not have free retreat. None of these have a free retreat, but we do have the line from, I was going to say Battle Styles. I don't think that's right. From Evolving Skies, I believe, that they do all have free retreat, and probably much more importantly, they all, the stage 1 Skiploom has an ability that I believe if you attach an energy to it, you can evolve straight away, kind of like Energy Evolution Eevee. So it allows you to get your stage 2 up quicker, so you probably want to play the other Skiploom, except this Skiploom has the same ability as the Jumpluff. It's called Float Away here. If any damage is done to this Pokemon, flip coin. If heads prevent that damage, that's super annoying, and I think will give this card potential. That has to be the reason why it would have potential. Its attack's not amazing. The Skiploom does 30 snipe to anything. Or no, sorry, 30 active, 30 to 1 on the bench, which isn't horrible, and then to Jumpluff here does 60 and 30 to 1 on the bench, so that's pretty underwhelming as a stage 2. You can just kind of skip from the basic to you play the stage 1, you attach energy to the Skiploom, not this Skiploom, but the other Skiploom, and then you can get straight into this other Jumpluff. And then you can also do things like use the other Jumpluff, the Rapid Strike one that can attack twice, which is interesting. So I think the power here is between the different Jumpluffs and Skiplooms and stuff, giving it a lot of versatility. I don't know if Jumpluff has any consistency behind it, unfortunately, or fortunately. It's going to be super toxic if it's good. That's something to consider. I don't despise this card in terms of how good I think it'll be. I think it could be very annoying. I think it'll definitely be worth trying out as well. So that's kind of cool. Now we have Fortress EX. This one is kind of interesting. The Pineco here is pretty generic, but it's a Terrestrial Pokemon, so immune to bench damage. I believe they're going to do something more of that mechanic going forwards, but I'm not quite sure what that is. Probably just different typing, but for now it doesn't really matter. Not taking bench damage doesn't matter too much. However, its ability Explosive Energy. Once during your turn, you may search deck for 5 basic grass energy cards. Attach them to your Pokemon any way you like. That's insane. And then you shuffle your deck. And if you search for your deck in this way, this Pokemon's knocked out. It's an EX, so it gets up 2 prizes. It's a stage 1. I guess we'll talk about its attack as well. 120 for 2 grass and takes 30 less damage from attacks next turn. That's pretty bad, but it doesn't really matter. It's there for its ability. The fact that it gives up 2 prizes is pretty bad. We've seen Electrode exploring Lightning Energy. It's not 5 energy. 5 energy is pretty insane, but I feel like the grass Pokemon also aren't very good. So pretty much you're just gonna kind of die, and then you're gonna lose because you're down on prizes so much. Because giving up 2 prizes is just kind of brutal. I can't really see this seeing much play unless it gets some amazing partner. And we see another grass Pokemon here that's not even that good. But yeah, let's move on because I don't believe Fortress EX will be very good. If you think differently, though, I'd be really interested. I've heard some people say, like, there's some combos with it, but I don't really think it's that good. Wuchen EX. Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's Wuchen. I actually don't think it's Wuchen, but it's something along the lines of that. It's a basic EX here with 230 HP, which is, I was going to say, is that more than Fortress? It's definitely not. Fortress has 270. So moderately tanky if you choose to use Guard Press, but you probably won't. It's not that much damage. Wuchen EX here doing for Grass Colorless. And I have looked at these cards before, but I don't really remember them super well. So throwing Ivy, This attack does 60 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon for each prize you have taken. And you don't apply weakness or resistance. So is that good? I mean, that's certainly alright. You can do like a 180 snipe after they've taken 3 prizes, which is pretty alright. Theoretically, you're good against stuff like Lumineon V. Honestly, that's pretty like strong, but it's a lot of energy as well. And then you can do 220 for 4. That's a lot. It's just one more than stuff like Miraidon, Koraidon, and of course Zacian V, which saw tons of play when it had abilities to power it up and just various things that were good with it. So Wuchen EX, I think, has the potential to be. No, I think it has the potential to be all right. I don't think it's going to be with Fortress EX, though. I think it's, I don't know, probably not Gardenia's Vitality either, but I think it could see play, and I kind of like it. I think this type can be very powerful. But I think it needs something else for the early game, of course. I think Devouring Ivy is pretty strong, though. You can literally snipe anything. Well, anything? Not anything. You can snipe pretty much anything at the end of the game, which is pretty insane, but in the early game, you're doing nothing. Spiritomb here. So this is kind of interesting. It's also pretty generic. Someone, I saw the comment section, and they said it only stops one Pokemon, which I don't actually, that's not true. I assume they meant only stops one good Pokemon. That's not really true. There are multiple good Pokemon. But what it does, it's an ability that says, as long as this Pokemon is in play, basic Pokemon V have no abilities, both yours and your opponent's. And you can also use your attack here, Vanish, which is really interesting. 10 damage, obviously pretty weak. And you put this card, Pokemon all cards, attach it to into your hand. That's kind of weird because obviously it gives your opponent their abilities back, but it is kind of hit and run. But it's kind of bad, right? You probably won't use this. But more interestingly, of course, the ability is super, it's super strong, but what's it turn off? Because it's only basics and only Vs, so it's a weaker version of Path. It does turn off Genesect V. That is probably the best use of it. Also turns off Lumineon V. I can't think of anything else Crobat V will have rotated, so I don't know of anything else that immediately comes to mind. Eldegoss will also have rotated. Kricketune doesn't really see any play. I'm sure there's something that's kind of obvious. There's like Zacian V and relatively weak Pokemon like that. That's Psychic Zacian. But then we also see that you can turn off your own, which in some senses seems bad, but you can actually pair it with something like Slacking V. I don't know if there are any other basic Vs with like bad abilities, but Slacking V can attack, I think, if you have even prizes, which is pretty brutal. But then you can turn this off and attack with it. I think it's 260 for 4. Very, very solid. And I think Spiritomb will make that much more viable. Now you don't need Path, and you have like access to other options. So I really like Spiritomb here. Do I like it more than Klefki, which we'll see in the future? Well, actually, we'll see Klefki in this upcoming Scarlet and Violet set. Do I like Spiritomb more? Probably not. I think Klefki is much stronger, certainly. It's like more committal. You need to probably play 4 of it. Spiritomb you can just tech in as a 1 of. I don't think it'll be strong enough, though. If you want to counter Genesect, which is almost always with Mew, you can just play Drapion. And then if you want to counter like Lumineon, I don't really think you need to counter Lumineon. I don't hate it, though. It's kind of interesting. Murkrow here, this is the first, and then Flamigo, I guess. So we'll look at the two of them together. So they both do 20 times, and then there's a Watchful with the Wings of Union attack as well. And so then you're hitting, if you have, let's see, you can have, 1, 2, 3, 4, you can have 11 in the discard, so you can be hitting 220. This is the same as Night March. Hopefully we see one more, so you can be hitting, I don't think did I do the math right? Yeah, no, yeah. And then you can be hitting 300 if there are 4 of them, and then you just need absurd amounts in the discard. Keep in mind this Murkrow here does have the ability to have a hit and run attack, which is moderately underwhelming. Wattrill is a lightning type, and I believe it's for 2 colors, just like Flamigo here. And they're all 20 times multiply. I wish they were 20 plus 20 times, but it's still fine. But then Murkrow here is dark type, and it uses 1 dark energy, so that's moderately versatile. The fact that you have different energy typings that are all very easily payable, because we're losing twin energy, you'll have to use double turbo energy, and then you can play some basic dark energy as well. And of course, the dark type's a pretty good weakness to hit, and so is lightning, and they're all basic, so you can attack with any of them. Unlike Night March or Mad Party, where you could not attack with most of them. Really, there's one that was significantly better than all the rest. These also have a bit of higher HP, so this, although it seems very similar to Night March or Mad Party, it actually has more versatility, and also it has less vulnerability, but then it looks like right now it does less damage output, and of course it's going to always kind of struggle to hit the numbers because it's a very clunky deck in general. Night March had success because it just had lots of tools and just because like the meta and stuff, but yeah, I think that this deck has potential, and then also with the Flamigo here. So it has this really flock together once during a turn. When you place this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench when you play it, you can search your deck for up to 3 Flamigo and put them into your hand. Then shuffle your deck. That's pretty good, allowing you just to get rid of all your Flamigos right away. Of course, playing it from your hand onto your bench is a bit awkward because you can't use Nest Ball, you can't use Battle VIP Pass, so you're probably looking at Capturing Aroma or Ultra Ball. It's not the end of the world, though. You can play 4 Research. You can play 4 Serena as well if you want to be able to discard pretty easily, or Zinnias, or whatever else. And then this one, this one's translated wrong. It says it's 1 dark. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be 2 colors, right? That's what it looks like. Also, this is like kind of wonky looking art. It's kind of fun, but I'm not sure how I feel about it. But yeah, these are really solid. I think that they have like the potential. They're not like It's not like super dependent on getting Flamigo. I don't think it's super dependent on Murkrow or Watchville. I think you have versatility here. I think they all might actually be weak to lightning. Yeah, because they're wings, so they're like flying type Pokemon. So that's fine. It doesn't really matter, right? If you have this low HP anyway. I guess it matters a little bit, but it's not too big of a deal. Yeah, I think they're cool. I don't know exactly what to say about them just yet. I think we need one more, and then it could be really solid and really fun. I mean, I think in the state it is, it can be very solid. Dark type, of course, hits weakness on Mew VMAX and Gardevoir EX. You can definitely be one-shotting them. And then Lightning type hitting weakness on Lugia and Palkia is really good as well. Those are probably the 2 best weaknesses in the game to hit, specifically post Scarlet and Violet. So I'm super hyped for this. It's going to be... It's more versatile than Mad Party. Mad Party gets a bit boring after you played it a few times because it's just like it's a bit monotonous when you never hit weakness. Your main attacker is colorless, so you don't ever hit weakness. But now moving on to some supporter and 2 stadiums. I don't. Oh yeah, these stadiums. Okay, yeah, these are one of the stadiums kind of busted. But Giacomo, I don't know who this is. I don't know. But it's a supporter that says discard special energy from each of your opponent's Pokemon. So you can compare this to cards like Flannery, Team Flare Grunt, Waves, all sorts of energy and denial cards. Giacomo obviously most directly compared to Flannery, which discards a special energy and a stadium. You don't have to discard the stadium, which can honestly be good. The fact that you have to discard a stadium with Flannery is kind of bad. So I like this, and I think it'll be a solid option control. Obviously, it probably is only going to be discarding 1 special energy, because why do your opponents spread their special energy out anyways? That doesn't make sense. And if they know you're playing this, they have extra incentive not to. So I don't think it's like that useful, but the fact that it just gets rid of special energy is certainly fine. In control decks, I think control decks are lacking a few cards. I don't think this is super necessary for them. I think Flannery mostly has them covered, but it's a nice addition. And there's another control card here as well. But then Snow Mountain of Disaster, that's kind of a weird thing, but it's probably going to be translated differently. But we'll see. You never know. Whenever any player attaches an energy card from their hand to one of their basic non-water Pokemon, put 2 damage counters on their Pokemon. It's only basics, so I don't know. I feel like this is, you can compare it to Old Cemetery. It's different, different typing, but they're very similar cards. I don't really know the reason why this is printed, to be honest. Because it's like the same card as Old Cemetery. Sure, it's slightly different uses. But really Old Cemetery and this card are going to be used when you want damage on your own Pokemon instead of to punish your opponents, because it really doesn't apply a lot of damage unless your opponent's doing something very specific. I believe they're almost the same. Of course, Snow Mountain of Disaster is basic, so it's actually weaker than Old Cemetery, I'd argue. Do I think this will be good? I don't really know. Not unless we see something that has obvious synergy with it. Which course it will be good, but otherwise it won't be good. So yeah, I don't really know why this card's being printed. It's not the worst card I've ever seen, but it's not great. And Wilderness of Disaster. Another stadium here, and it says there are 2 costs of each basic Pokemon except fighting Pokemon is 1 colorless more. So you compare this to Galarmine, again, much worse. Galarmine, which is going to be rotating here, each Pokemon in play, so all Pokemon have a retreat cost of 2 more. Galarmine is one of the best cards we're losing from the rotation. It is super strong, allowing you to trap Pokemon much easier. Keep in mind that we're gonna be acquiring Spidops EX in the upcoming set, which is a very solid card for trapping Pokemon in the active. So Wilderness of Disaster can kind of stack. Notably, you're looking at trapping stuff like Genesect V and I don't know, but whatever other basic they're playing, especially without Scoop Up Net. So I feel like this card's going to be pretty good. But I'm interested in hearing what you have to say. I think it's control. I think boss stall control will be very solid. There are a few questions to one. Like you could just play Snorlax from I don't remember what it's from. Oh, Pokemon Go. I think that like walls your opponent. Well, it has the ability block, so it stops them from retreating. So that's pretty cool. And to be stronger than this, it just completely overrides that. There's not much they can do about it. I do like Wilderness of Disaster with its versatility. You can have Spidops on the bench and Wilderness of Disaster, which isn't your active Pokemon, and then be either using an item lock attack or, more importantly, using an attack that just applies pressure. You can have control and apply pressure at the same time, because control decks can just lose if your opponent just kind of chills there. I think you can also pair it with like a mill style card. I would say like Durant. I wouldn't really recommend that, but you could do that. There are some other mill ones. There's the new Wug Trio. I would also not recommend that. Although it's a bit funny, but I'm interested in hearing what you have to say about this new set. I think it's definitely very solid. There are some other cards I covered some other ones previously, but I'm just super hyped for this. This Jumpluff's moderately interesting. The Fortress is not the best. Uzan is it's okay. Spiritomb again, okay, but then I'm really hyped for this Mad Party style deck. I think it's potentially very strong, and as I said, very versatile. But I'm interested, as I said, in hearing what you have to say on these new cards. And of course on the new Scarlet and Violet set. Also, I forgot to say this at the beginning of the video, everyone check out my community tab. I have some voting stuff going on for an upcoming video I'm going to be doing. So yeah, it's like a bracket, if you've heard of bracket fights. I'm going to be doing that. And then I'm going to be doing it with a special guest. Actually, not a special guest. It's Uncommon Fossil. And we're going to be doing some stuff with that. So check that out if you can. But I hope you enjoyed. And as I'm excited to see you in the next video. See ya.